He is 100% worth it.
He takes it to another level. Oh my God, I just fell in love with it.
Thanks so much, Jay.
Blew my mind. And it worked. I wanted to buy my thing.
Jay is, I would say, the Yoda of sales calls, man.
Just talking to Jay, he was so good at just taking what it is, seeing the opportunity and the value and the real reason we are making it.
Talk to Jay, because he got it. He can definitely help you out.
Talk to Jay. You're going to get a lot. You're going to gain a lot.
I would absolutely recommend him for any position that you have.
Jay's definitely the guy.
Give him the chance, give him the opportunity. You won't regret it.
He's good at what he does, so I highly recommend him, and I would book him before he is fully booked out.
What is up, everyone? Welcome to the Sales Ninja Show podcast. My name is Jay, former introvert, former banker, former pastor, preacher, reluctant evangelist, a lot of formers, and have pivoted to high-ticket sales, and now am a sales coach and a business growth consultant to help you grow and scale your businesses to the next level. I have a very special guest, and we're here to help you to sell more, to give more, and his name is Alek Angelov, and hopefully he'll correct me. And today we're going to be talking about mastering buyer psychology. He's going to give tips for business success and a bit of background about Alek. He is a high-ticket sales psychology expert, a multi-billion, with a capital B, multi-billion-dollar business consultant, and the proud co-founder of CEO Sphere, an exclusive community of over 100 members where he coaches entrepreneurs in sales and marketing. Born in Bulgaria, Alek began working in his family business just at 8 years old, okay? 8 years. At 10, he immigrated to Spain, where his determination earned him a scholarship to one of the country's top universities. However, motivated by the pursuit of greater opportunities, Alek moved to the UK to study at the University of Kent, starting his new chapter with just a whopping $140 in his pocket. Working, get this, guys, 104 hours a week at multiple jobs. He earned a master's degree in psychophysiology and began focusing on understanding people and their mindsets. Throughout the years of analyzing behavioral patterns, Alek discovered that the one skill that sets people apart from any game is, guess what? Sales. And upon graduation, he made a life-changing decision to never work for anyone else but himself. I love this. Today, Alek has generated over $500,000 in sales, amassed a following of over 150,000 plus people on Instagram, and trained over 1,500 students, and he's worked with thousands of students worldwide, spoken at Europe's biggest business event, and even delivered training at Harvard Business School. Alek continues to share high-value sales tips with his audience, helping entrepreneurs achieve success. Let's go, guys. Okay, welcome, Alek, to the stage. Welcome to the Sales Ninja Show podcast.
Hey, man, thank you for the great info. You really took it back to the very...
Okay, we have some technical glitches. This shows you that this is a live podcast, and I have someone in the back room working literally on the other side of the country on the opposite time zone. So I want to appreciate my team. And it is real. We have technical issues, we have glitches, we have issues, and that's how it goes. Just go with the flow. Sorry, Alek, we interrupted you as you were talking.
Okay, yeah, no, I was just giving you my thank you and saying that you really took it back there, like when I was in my very early days. You've done plenty of research. I loved it. The one thing that I wanted to correct you, you say that I've generated over 500,000.
Yes.
I've generated quite a lot more than that.
Okay.
And
please correct me.
I just thought that Yeah. No, I just thought that I would make that one correction. Everything else was
Yeah.
pretty accurate. Arrived at university, $140, worked 6 jobs, and definitely got into psychophysiology. So yeah, thank you for the great intro.
Amazing. So somewhere in the show notes, we'll correct that with our team that you've done a lot more than $500,000 in sales. I love the sales psychology aspect of that, which we're going to dive into in just a moment. And just wanted to give a shout out to some of the people who are already watching. We got our legendary LinkedIn sales strategy, actually my sales strategy coach for LinkedIn, Mark Ramsey and Jordan Molina. So he says 2 legends, 1 podcast. Excited for this one. A man with choice words in the right season. Well said, Mark. Thank you for tuning in. So let's go back to the beginning. I mean, like clearly from your story, it's very clear that you had entrepreneurial spirit in your blood at a very young age. You worked at your family business just at 8 years old. What kind of business was that, and what did you learn?
Dude, it was an internet cafe. And it was, at the time, bear in mind, having an internet cafe like 20 years ago, it was pretty much like, it was innovative. Like it was the first cafe where you go, you play games, you get to connect with other people. And I used to just remember that my father used to work so many long hours, and oftentimes he didn't have more than 3 hours sleep. And so that he could catch up on some sleep, I had to go and just say hey, I'll handle the first hours before I go to school. You get some sleep, and that would just allow him to, get some rest.
Wow. You had that kind of compassionate heart is that 8 years old?
Yeah.
That's like grade 3 or 4. I mean, I don't know many people who would even want to be at their parents' business, let alone open and or close for them and work to help give their parents sleep. That's an incredible heart. Were you nurtured that way, or is that kind of something that you were born with?
I think I was nurtured into it. I mean, I'm an only child, Jay. So for me, there wasn't really anyone else that I could rely on to. I don't have a big family as such. I don't have many cousins either. So for me, it's always been just me and my family. So I've always been a big family guy when it comes to it. And they were my greatest support. And I wanted to be able to support them from a very early age too.
I love that. And I think that's a very indicative of your heart, your heart-centered, vantage point towards your family. At such a young age, having that maturity. You said at 10, you immigrated to Spain, and your determination earned you a scholarship to one of the country's top universities. So that whole idea seems very foreign to me, that at the age of 10, my daughter just turned 11. So, we're talking grade 5-ish. How on earth at that age do you get offered a scholarship to a top university that young? I don't understand that.
So just to correct it, I didn't go to university obviously at the age of 10, or didn't offer a scholarship at that age.
Yeah.
I went to the country to start studying high school, normal, just high school years. But at 7 years after, the age of 17, was when I secured that scholarship, and I secured it because I ended up in the top 3 of the entire school.
Wow. Okay. Now, was your being top 3 in the school? Because I mean, I grew up in a Asian family, so you either earn your way or you get beaten into the top 3 or top 1. Was it your parents pushing you very, very hard? Were they strict, or is it something that you had a self drive to be able to achieve this?
Nah, I've always grown up in a very free flow family. I never got pushed on to do things. I thought that I had enough privilege to be able to study at a good school so that I can actually go ahead and put in the effort myself. So I never really lacked self-motivation.
Wow. You're just a really good dude. I mean, not many people are born and bred with this kind of, character, work ethic, compassion. Your parents must have loved you.
Dude, you're going to make me blush so early.
No, truly. I mean, I was a pastor for 10 years. So in terms of human psychology, I've been in front of hundreds and thousands of people that I get to, quote unquote, minister, counsel, did, marital, premarital counseling, marital counseling, post-marital counseling, divorce counseling, and also one-on-one counseling. So I have a good idea, at least from my experience in ministry, of people, and that kind of character it really, really stands out to me. And I think that's very, outstanding. So I want to commend you for that.
Thank you.
So let's go and shift back to this. You're a young man. You moved to the UK. You're starting a chapter with $140 in your pocket. You worked, when you said multiple jobs, I didn't know you were working. Did you say 6 jobs?
6 jobs.
Working 104 hours. So paint that picture, because that does not make any sense to me at all. How the heck do you do that?
I gotta say, it was borderline illegal. They were like, maybe we gotta take a look into this. And it was hard, dude. But like at the very end, a normal day would look like me waking up at around 5 a.m. and at 6 a.m. I would go and I would be cleaning Zara. And I literally would just go in and I would just be the cleaner of Zara. And I would do that for about 3 hours before Zara opens at 9 a.m. And at around 10 a.m., I would go and I would do gardening with this guy. And I would do gardening for about like 5-6 hours. And then, yeah. And then I would probably have a break, have some lunch. And at around 5:36, I would go and I would work as in my sales call center. And I got promoted into a supervisor, so it was kind of cool there. I was making much better money. And that would run until like 10:30, 11 p.m. I would go to sleep for a couple of hours and I would start a night shift at a retail store and I would be stacking shelves. And I would probably do a shift at about, for about 4 hours. I would then end up at like 7-8 a.m. going back into.
So 10:30 p.m. You had a night shift stocking shelves, and then when did you start that next shift or next job?
So 10:30, 11, I would go to bed. I would sleep for about 3 hours, and I remember my shift starting at 3 a.m. So at 3 a.m. I would be stacking shelves at a retail shop for the university. Yeah. I would wake up. I would wake up at like 2. I would go to to be on time, to have my coffee, whatever. And I would start at 3 a.m. I would work until 7, and then here started another different job, which was just a nursery home. So I would go into a nursery home, take care of children for about 8 hours, and then roll on to my sales job. So you can just picture the chaos. It was lots of 3-hour, 4-hour sleep and lots of 17, 18-hour days.
That's insane.
I know.
How did you not burn out?
Dude, when you're in the moment, it's almost like, I don't know if you ever done a cold plunge into water. Have you?
Well, cold plunge only in showers, not in tubs or oceans.
Okay, so the first time that you get into it, you're like, oh my God, this is cold. But actually, if you stay beyond a minute and a half, it all kind of becomes the same. You no longer really feel cold. You're just there and you're resisting. Now, when you get out, the first 1 minute, you're feeling everything that has been happening to your body. And so it's kind of the same, right? When I was in the chaos and I was working those long hours, I didn't really realize the effect of it. Once I stopped and I took a back look at it, into everything, I was like, ooh, I've been overworking.
Yeah. Yes, definitely. And how long did you do this crazy schedule for?
Oh, dude, I did it for probably 4 to 6 months.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so on timeline wise, you earned a master's degree in psychophysiology. I didn't even know that was a thing, to be honest. So what was the timeline of this, and were you still working while you were doing your master's degree?
I was at university. I was doing my usual degree, and the master's degree was something that I was doing, just a couple of hours to keep in touch. So to put you in a position, my very first job at the age of a kind of like official job, aside from like anything like business with my family, was at the age of 17, and I joined this company, which psychophysiology, for anyone who doesn't really understand what it is technically lie detection. It's observing human behavior. Yeah. So that's what I'm certified in, Jay. It's lie detection.
What? That's so cool.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. So that was my first job, dude. Like I was 17. I joined this company, and it was a lie detection company, one of the biggest in the world. And
wow.
That's where I got certified in like the second biggest association in the world, behind the American, which is the European Polygraph Association. So that was at the age of like 17. I started working with them, and then across the years, my collaboration with them continued. But I got my master's degree at about 22, 23.
That is incredible. So it sounds very like FBI, CIA-ish, like secret agent kind of stuff. And
it is.
How have you used this superpower? Like, not many people have this psychophysiology lie detector certification background with 104 hours per week at 6 jobs with very little to no sleep as a single child. How does that help you where you are today?
Well, dude, I think in every job, even like my gardening job, like I probably learned something. Maybe it was hard work. At cleaning Zara, I probably learned that I don't really like waking up at 5 a.m. And but at the very end, like you get to learn in every job something that contributes towards your overall success. So I really do not regret like any of the jobs. Like I loved every single one of them. But when it comes to like being certified in psychophysiology, one of the biggest things is just understanding humans and understanding their personality. So now, we're talking sales here. When I get on a sales call, technically I can read a person in about 1 to 7 seconds, and I just kind of can tell the type of person that they are. Then just by asking a couple of extra questions, I can pinpoint their personality. I know kind of what they tend to desire, the way they function when it comes to making a decision. And that just overall makes it very easy to understand people and then contribute towards their main desires.
Thank you, Jay Ma, for tuning in. She is blown away, and she says, wow. And we want to give a shout out to Juan Hernandez, who says, great interview. Jay, Alek's take and how you helped him go to certain issues. That is incredible. So you were a lie detection certified psychophysiologist at the young age of 17. You understand humans. You can read a person in 1 to 7 seconds.
That's when I started. Jay, that's when I started. I wasn't certified at that age. It's important to tell people that. I got all of this at like the age of like 23, 24.
Gotcha. But you started there. Yeah.
Yes.
I love your honesty. You're a person who cannot maybe lie, right? Because you've been trained in the way of detecting lies. Is it hard for you to lie, or have you learned how to lie because of that?
I don't like the lying, and if you've been a pastor, then you know that lying it's a sin. And I think we have all sinned, and I probably on some occasion by omission of information may have lied, and I may continue to do so, but it's never purposefully, and I try to correct and I try to stay as honest as possible in everything that I do.
I love it. So let me ask another question, because I want to go back to your work ethic. I mean, your resilience and your work ethic. I mean, I don't know many people. I don't even know if I know any people that have worked 104 hours per week. Was that necessity to survive, or was that something that was a drive and a challenge?
It was necessity, dude. And it was survival. Like at the very end, when I arrived with $140, Jay, that meant that next month I couldn't pay my bills, and it meant that I was not going to stay at that university. And I had a very good friend of mine tell me like, hey, Alek, you should probably apply for a hardship. And I applied for that hardship and I got it, but that hardship was $500. And $500 meant that I could survive just an extra month. And so it meant that, sure, I got some leeway, but I had to find my way to actually surviving. And so that was one of the main reasons why I did it. And to be honest, I've also never been lazy. So I don't like lazy people. I've never been lazy. And so I always strive to just work hard.
I am blown away. You had to survive. You had to work 104 hours per week, 6 jobs. Not being able to pay your bills. Like, were your parents not available, supportive, or they just weren't able to help support your schooling?
They have always told me to be very independent from the very start. And so from the age of 17, I kind of like just did things on my own. And for either way, they just they did not have the resources, or they didn't support me. I didn't question it really.
I find that incredible about your character, and I feel like I'm an interrogator here, but and there are people here, Mark, saying it's awesome to hear the honest reflection here, and Juan was saying, great interview for all these questions, because I like to understand sales psychology, buyer psychology, and human psychology as a pastor and a business growth consultant. You said you didn't question your parents. I know that there's a lot of people, because I've done ministry and I've done a lot of pastoring and a lot of counseling, that there's many people in the victim mentality where they would say, my mom or my dad or my parents were never there for me, or I'm the only child and you would have expected much more for them to provide for me. And the helicopter parents who always want to try to provide and protect their children, you would think there would be a different story. How is your story and narrative different?
I guess I never considered myself to be entitled to anything. I just worked for it.
Okay. You are saying something that is, we should do another whole series on this, because as an only child, that you said, I never considered myself entitled to anything. That is not normal, in my opinion. And I'm saying that to commend you for your character. That's beautiful.
Cheers.
Okay, I'm just trying to understand. How do you not consider yourself to be entitled especially as an only child? Like, what is the psychophysiology of that?
Well, why would I? Why would I, Jay?
Great question. Well, I can think of some reasons. I'm an only child. My parents should provide for me, maybe owe me, even though it's entitled view. If I don't get help, then I'm going to be left out on the streets, and you wouldn't want that of me, mom and dad, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Well, just to put a pause, like, I think they've always been supportive, but they've also built me to be an extremely independent person, in the sense of, I think I've always had the opportunity to, be able to go back and have their support, but I've never really wanted it. It's always been a choice. It's never been. It's always been the choice for me to just work for everything, and then choose to go back and spend time with them, and choose to, have them in my line of support. But I've never asked for things, and whenever I've gotten offered things, I've always said mostly no. Like, I'll just do things on my own.
So Jay Ma says a lot of breakthrough often comes at these times when we have no parachute to fall back on. It's amazing how you do this. Your mindset is amazing.
Thank you,
Mark
Jay.
says you work for what you have, is what Mark says. That's awesome, my brother. Building what you want and taking what opportunities come up. That's the way. So I think that's what helps you be who you are and do what you do with regards to being a high-ticket sales psychology expert. Talk about, the multi-billion-dollar business consultant. I'm curious about that.
Yeah, so that was with Swiss Sport, one of the biggest companies in the world. If you've ever been to an airport and you looked around, you've seen Swiss Sport. I trained their Caribbean team. years ago, and from there on, I oftentimes get hired as a consultant just to come in, look at the systems, and train teams at different capacities, whether that's leadership, whether that's sales directly. And it's an exciting opportunity to always be able to step up into big teams, but I also work with individuals on a very high level. So I do have that contrast. I love coaching in general. I love helping people, and that's a big driver for me.
Amazing. So when you come into these multi-billion-dollar, corporations such as Swissport, when you're training them in leadership and sales, let's talk leadership. Are you talking about changing a culture? Are you talking about trying to fix and correct behavior? What is it that you do?
Yeah, correct. So when it comes to leadership, I feel like there is a clear line between being a boss and being a leader. And over the past years, I've always strived to be a better leader and to not really be a boss. And the main differences is that a leader inspires and a leader teaches and showcases and leads by example, while a boss tells what needs to be done. And so that's a key difference when it comes to leadership that many people would benefit from if they take into account in whatever business they're running.
Wow. So can you give me a scenario where with, a company like Swissport, like you have, I'm guessing there's a large number of employees or team members where, let's say, the culture is stagnant or, lazy, the one that you hate, or, not really committed. And you said leadership versus bossing, which is telling them what needs to be done. And leadership is inspiring, teaching, leading by example, and, really, really showing them the way. What kind of teachings, trainings do you do to help them live out this culture?
Yeah, so I'm going to give you a more recent example. I recently hired 4 different high-ticket closers for my business, and they have all operated at an extremely high level. Some of them have generated over 2 million in the past years, and they were at an extremely high level. And so I was really expecting that, they have got all type of training. And just after spending 2 weeks with them, many of them mentioned that, hey, this is kind of like, I've learned more in 2 weeks than I've learned in my entire life when it comes to sales and just overall like good community building and brotherhood. And I asked why, what makes you say that? And Justin, one of my closers, said, well, what I love is like you just show how things are done and you explain it with detail, and you are leading the way by putting yourself out there. And so I guess many bosses, they like to establish a hierarchy and say like, I'm up here, so you just should do X, Y, and Z. And I dislike this approach and take a counter stance and say, well, I am right here with you guys, and I'll show you how it's done, and I'll show you life examples, because if I, cannot do it, then I shouldn't be expecting for you to do it. Right? And so that is how you change a culture. It's when you start building it from the ground up successfully by showing what are the core values, and then how are we implementing those core values in a day-to-day business. So that's how you do it.
Wow. I love that. I think leadership is definitely a gift that is, rare. And, the fact that you're empowering others by leading the way and showing them, you said like, I'll show you how it's done, and lead not from like this ivory tower and not from hierarchy, but basically putting yourself out there. Actually, the gentleman that I just interviewed just before you, Harlan Riker, he was saying the exact same thing. They had a setter, and the setter just left without any notice. And guess what? He got into the seat of the setter and started to do outbound cold calls, cold dialing, cold emails, because he says you just got to get it done. So you guys are talking the same message and reading from the same, music page, if you will. So
yeah, great. Yeah, no, I was just gonna say, great minds think alike, and great leaders operate in the same way.
Amen. So you had the opportunity to grow an Instagram following to 150,000 plus. That is mind blowing to me. How the heck does someone who's watching and listening to the Sales Ninja Show podcast go from 0 to hero on Instagram?
You give as much value as you possibly can. I know it sounds cliche. Let's define value. Value is exactly what your audience needs. Okay, what does your audience needs? You do research and you identify what are their most common problems, and then you give them solutions to those problems. Here is the problem that most people do have when it comes to growing anything. They have a perspective of their own of what the audience needs. They don't actually ask them, what do you need help with? And so what they're doing is they're spraying and praying. And so they post what they think is great for them, but they're not really giving people the value. And so what I encourage everyone is to first go do a research, find what their audience struggles with, what problems they may have, and then actually provide solutions to those problems. Then create 100 pieces of content. It sounds like it's a lot, but it's not. Okay, I've created over 1,500. So if I've created, 15 times that, and I'm asking you for 15 times less, you should be able to do it. Otherwise, you probably don't deserve the amount of audience that I have. As simple as that, because it's hard work equals, good results. And so at the very end, come back and analyze out of those 100 pieces of content that I've posted, which ones performed the best. Double down on that. And that's how you continue building that culture of providing as much value as possible. And that's giving without never asking for a very long period of time until your audience actually asks, for more and different solutions, which may be paid.
Amazing. So let's say, people are getting this incredible content out that's value-based, that's answering a big problem that people have. They're putting the consistency that you talked about, which is, 100 pieces or more. You've got 1,500. That's incredible. They analyze, they double down. I'm taking notes. This is incredible. And they give without asking, which is what I teach. So what starts happening? Give us a future pace. Now people are value. Now they're seeing your brand. Now they're resonating with your content. What's going to happen from there?
From there on, you choose what happens. That's the beauty of it. You're in control. I've seen people who build up a fantastic audience. They reach up, let's say, 20, 30, 40,000, 50,000. They turn into, they kind of almost creep up on their audience and start asking them to buy consistently every single day. The audience gets tired. They develop resistance towards the brand. And now no longer they're following the same person. So what they do is they unfollow, the engagement drops, and no longer that brand exists. Okay. And I've seen thousands of creators get lost because of greed. Okay. And so here is the important detail. Okay. You give up in public and you sell in private. And you sell in private to the people who want to be sold to. Okay, very big difference. Okay, if I'm constantly just promoting for my own benefit and I'm trying to take, people are like, ooh, he used to give. Now he wants to take. And so what's very important is for people to switch their mindset and for people to have patience. And I get it. If you're broke, you probably don't have the patience. Okay, but the solution isn't massively just going out and giving people you just have to buy from me, because people are still not going to buy, right? You have to prove yourself. So let's get on to that future pacing moment. Still to this day, Jay, when I wake up and I see 153,000 and I see hundreds of comments and I see thousands of likes every day, you know what I'm looking at, Jay? I'm looking at every single one person. So when I see a follow from someone, I'm saying yes, it's one more person that I'm able to help. I don't look at the 153,000. I don't look at the post that I'm making. Every day the counter starts anew. And that's something that I encourage people to do. It's stop looking at the numbers. Today it could have been a good, but it could have been a bad day. It could have been a good day. Doesn't really matter. The next day is what matters a lot, right? It's okay, today it has happened. Fantastic. Let's move on to the next day and try to provide even more value.
Amazing. How do you I don't know if you have a team or you do this by yourself. when you're getting this 153,000 followers, and I love that you're treating them as one person at a time, as human beings. When you're getting like hundreds, I have one of my clients who has 6 million followers across 4 or 5 different platforms, and he cannot, on Instagram, he's got hundreds of thousands of comments. He cannot get to them because it's too many for him. So he has a team. I think he's got at least 2 different people on different platforms. How do you respond? What's your sales process, if you don't mind me asking?
Okay, so the first thing is like I always respond to every single one of my comments.
Wow.
In the sense of like I respond to the comments myself is what I mean. And I try to respond to as many of them. Now, some of my posts could reach 2,000 to 3,000 comments. What I tend to do is I use a sales automation for that. Okay. And so that sales automation tends to be so that I can provide people with a free resource that can help them in their journey. And I don't need to be doing that manually because I need to be effective. From there on, I do have a team that also helps me with like more time sensitive DMs, in which I have a person who handles it on my behalf. And then if someone wants to get into a communication with me and wants to do this type of podcast, you probably went through someone on my team. Okay. It wasn't me. Like you asked me, someone on my team answered, they got the availability, they booked in for me, and they managed to get us here. That's how it works.
Very cool. Amazing. And then let's go into so they have the comments, you have automation. Do you have a software stack? Do you use ManyChat or anything else?
ManyChat.
Okay.
ManyChat.
And then let's say your team handles a DM and they're coming in from ice cold to warm to hot, and they want to book a call for, you said I help business owners sell their offers with ease, business consultant, multi-billion-dollar, all these amazing things. Are they getting a call with your team? Are they getting a call with you? How does that sales process work from there?
No, they would get. Now I'm at a position in which they get on a call with my team. So people only get to speak with me if they are a client.
Okay, great. So that's, Dan Martell talks about buying back your time. I think you mentioned earlier that you have a team of 4 closers that you have hired recently, that they take your calls.
Correct. Correct.
Is the necessity of 4 calls all organic, or do you start running paid ads to generate that kind of lead flow?
Right now, I'm blessed. I have so much organic reach that I could give every single one of the audience members in this show leads for their offers. Get thousands of comments. Get thousands of inquiries. Bro. Yeah,
that's a business right there. Teaching people how to master organic to the point where you're getting leads on demand.
Well, correct. Like that's one of the things that I'm hoping to, be able to do this month or the next. You just have a training to people to show them how they can actually automate their lead generation process to have a lead flow of abundance. Because most people, as you may know, Jay, live in scarcity. And I think if you are capable of generating consistent lead flows, and I can show you how to do that, then you can live in abundance.
Mark is wondering, do you sell in the DMs with any of your offers, or are they all getting onto calls with your team?
They get onto calls. I don't, promote like offers in the DMs. We chat about like people's needs. Yes, but that's about it.
So when people are wanting, and I'm just asking for the audience here who are watching and listening, we got Juan, we got Mark, we got Jay, we got different people who are watching. When they want to work with someone who is a high-level elite entrepreneur, psychological master like yourself, what are they looking to get when they work with you? What kind of experience, transformation, result, et cetera, et cetera?
They're looking at the life transformation, Jay. It isn't just about sales. It isn't just about business. It's about them shifting their entire mindset, and it's about really becoming a master of their own destiny, I would like to say. And that comes with a lot of, people tend to say like, oh, to be great at sales, you need to like learn lots of like sales techniques, and you need to be like a great closer, and you need to, you know, be a great listener, and you need to be great at persuasion, and you know, you need to like, sure, that's all fantastic, but broken down to its core is just controlling your mind. And if you're able to control your mind, you're able to be patient, you're able to be relaxed on the calls, you're able to understand other humans, you're able to provide a service without ever being salesy, just because you know that you're operating on what people desire and not necessarily on what you think they desire, which is a big difference. And that's all I teach people. It's about how to, you know, work from a position of power and actually guide the clients instead of selling to them.
I love that. And that's going to segue perfectly to the next question. And then I do have a last question before I let you go, because I know you have another call. We need to do a part 2 because you're blowing my mind in a good way. So I really appreciate all the nuggets that you're dropping. So when you talked about controlling your mind to be patient, to be relaxed, to have flow state, are there any key strategies that you have, you know, learned and you teach to your own team and your clients that help you close, you know, some of these multi-billion-dollar companies and, you know, large clients?
You want me to give my personal sauce, Jay?
Not everything. If you have a teaser or a trailer or, you know, anything that you can, you know, offer as a nugget.
Okay. Here is where most people go wrong when it comes to selling. Okay. They jump in and they say, look, Jay, I have this offer. And why do you need this offer, Jay? Oh, you know, I'm struggling with X, Y, and Z. But the point is they have already decided in their mind what they're going to sell and how they're going to sell it. I say strip all of that, remove all the scripts, remove everything that you ever thought about, okay? And then jump from a position of like, I'm trying to get who Jay is at its core and what does he desire. And then you're going to focus on 3 main things during the conversation. You're going to focus on the client's desires, needs, and struggles. And you're going to ask specific questions that give you information exactly on that. Like, what do they desire? What do they need? What do they struggle with? Once you have that information, you simply do what I call the magic method. Okay. You basically repeat exactly what they told you, okay, back by adding a sentence at the beginning, which is, it seems like. So let's give an example. Jay, I jump on a call and I ask you, what do you struggle with? And you say like, well, I'm struggling to get leads from Instagram. Okay. Okay, Jay, and what would you be hoping to be achieving 3 months from now? This is your desires now that I'm asking. I identified the struggle. Now I'm identifying the desire. And you say, well, like from 3 months from now, I would like to be getting 10 to 15 leads per month. I say like, wow, that's fantastic. Jay, what would need to happen in order for you to achieve that? Now I'm identifying the needs. Once I identify the needs, the struggles, and the desires, here's what I would say. Jay, it seems like what you are struggling with is getting leads from Instagram. Would you say that's correct? And you are going to say yes, because you told me about that previously.
Of course.
I'm going to say like,
right.
Okay, so what it seems like you need, focus on like how I'm not telling you. I am just saying like, it seems like I may be wrong. You correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not wrong because you already gave me that information. So I'm playing with the advantage of already knowing what you desire and need. And so then I would say like, it seems like, Jay, you would need to introduce whatever sentence you told me. Okay. And from what I'm looking at, we would love to be able to generate 10 to 15 leads per month for you. Okay. Every month. Does that sound like something you need? Suddenly you're thinking like, oh my goodness, this guy really understands me. He gets me. And I do, because I asked you, I listened to the information you provided, and I just repeated back all of that because I know that that's what you need. I didn't assume that you need any of this. I actually got the information from you. And so many people, they assume and they walk with this preconceived notion. I think Jay needs this. Forget about it and actually ask the person, ask the client, what do they need? Listen, then repeat it back, confirm, find the solution, and that's how you sell.
Beautiful, beautiful. We are in ways that time won't allow us to do this. I teach this all day, every day. So I am like music to my ears. That was beautiful. So how do you manage your time between, business, coaching, being able to help these large companies, your own personal growth and mindset?
Dude, what I do is I just focus on one thing at a time. This is it. And so like people are like, oh dude, like you have to like produce like 20 pieces of content so that you have like this massive stack of content. You know what? Like I wake up and like I'm like, oh, I want to shoot this video, and then I do it. And now I no longer feel the pressure to be having like thousands of like pieces of content created every day, to be like running between calls. No, like I look at my schedule and I say like, this is what I want to do. Like I want to stay creative. I will produce one piece of content. Okay, I'm going to create this one piece of content. I focus on like little details. So right now what I'm focusing on, Jay, is like having the most perfect time with you here. I'm not thinking about what I have, what I've done before. I'm not thinking what I have to do in the future. I'm focusing on being present in the moment and executing that to perfection. And then everything else, it just falls into place, right? Because I'm just following like, what do I have to do next? But I'm first here, then I'm there. I'm not like in too many places at the same time. My focus is, kind of like streamlined.
Amazing, amazing. I would love to do a part 2 with you. We can talk a lot of things from Instagram growth to engaging and nurturing your audience, the psychophysiological side of understanding people in the sales process. I want to end off to respect your time with the gift that you are giving, a free complimentary business resource from the CEO Sphere called the 100 Psychological Hooks. Would you like to kind of preface and share what that gift is? And I actually have it here in front of me. I printed it out.
Brilliant.
And I verified and vetted it. It's incredible. It's really, really good.
Brilliant. Well, I'm actually thinking that if people access the link that we're giving them, they actually have access to 3 different resources. So this is much better than just one. We have the 100 psychological hooks for people to be able to engage their audience, grab awareness, and actually have a high converting content. We also have the 50 premium ways to get a rich client today. So you can download that. And we have the multiple six-figure roadmap, business roadmap, and all of that is available at the link. You're holding one of the best resources, because I feel like hooks, Jay, and you're gonna agree with me probably, but they are one of the most important things on social media, right?
Absolutely. 100%.
There we go. Well, here we go. That's 100 proven hooks to gain awareness and have highly converting content for everyone.
Wow. And the other ones that you mentioned are also gifts as well, correct?
Yes, they're all gifts. They're all free.
Wow.
And in fact, I'm the type of person who, even if you claim them, I don't spam you. I don't, do any of that. That's not my way of selling. So You're just going to get like a welcome sequence that tells you a little bit about who I am, gives you even more tips, and that's about it. So feel free to enjoy it, everyone.
This is the landing page with the lead magnet for accessing free resources from Alek. We got the 100 psychological hooks that I'm holding in my hand that I printed out yesterday before the show. We have a roadmap to 6-figure business success, amazing 32 steps to business success. Get this free product now, as well as 50 hacks to get a premium client today. Wow, look at this guy. He lives by example, by giving first and giving over and over and over again. And people get to make the choice to work with him. Any other last pieces of advice that you like to give to people who are listening on the other end, who, for example, on Instagram have been struggling and are maybe thinking of giving up to grow their business through social media?
Well, what's the alternative? It's what I would ask.
Mm-hmm.
It's easy to go ahead and think about, giving up. But when you give up, I always say, like, and so what? Like, what's gonna happen when you give up? What are you going to do? And also, do you want to be the person who gave up, or do you want to be the person who has an epic story to tell by enduring all the hardship that you're facing right now? Consider that.
Wow. I want to leave a question as we part to anyone who is interested in learning how to do organic mastery on Instagram. I think there's a huge market demand out there and want to learn from the master and the expert here, Alek. Comment IG, and then we would like to funnel those leads and those people who are interested in joining and learning from one of the greatest psychophysiological entrepreneurs online that I've met in person just now. Mark says you're a legend. I agree. That was a great interview. Thank you so much for your time, Alek, and we'll definitely do a part 2. I think I'm going to definitely be learning a lot from you. Thank you so much, my friend.
Thank you too, Jay. This has been fantastic. You've been fantastic. And thanks to everyone who has been joining us for this experience.
Okay. So on behalf of the Sales Ninja Show podcast, subscribe to learn more about what we do. And we're here to help you to sell more, to give more, so that we can help you to scale and grow your business or businesses through sales without sounding salesy, sleazy, or making prospects sleepy with boring offers. And on behalf of Alek and myself, thank you guys for tuning in, and we will see you on the next show. Take care. Thanks, Alek, again.